Yo bro, before anything, picture this. A man alone in pouring rain, swinging a sword like his life depends on it. Not for a day, not for a year, for 15 years straight. That's where this whole story starts, and trust me, by the end of this recap you're gonna understand exactly why that image matters.
Thank you. If you have subscribed, I do appreciate you. But if you are yet to do that, kindly support by subscribing to the channel so more content can keep dropping. So let's go.
We open through the eyes of a village boy writing in his journal. A hooded stranger wanders into his quiet little village one day, and immediately the whole place is on edge. Nobody trusts him, but the village elder takes pity and lets him stay. 10 days later, word spreads the stranger's out there swinging a sword every single day. A month passes, still swinging. 2 months, still swinging. The villagers cook up every theory in the book: disgraced knight, wanted mercenary, a man plotting revenge. Our narrator plays it cool, but curiosity gets the better of him too, and when he finally goes to watch, he's almost disappointed. The guy doesn't even look that impressive. Then time starts flying. Years blur by in the background of the narrator's own life. He falls in love, gets married, has a daughter, and through every single one of those milestones, that stranger is still out there in the same yard, swinging the same sword. Rain, snow, storms, none of it stops him. By year 6, he's slicing clean through solid wood. By year 6.5, he's training blind in pitch darkness. The narrator watches this man's dedication swallow decade after decade, and it starts to haunt him. What is this guy even chasing? 15 years pass. The narrator, now an old man himself, drifts off and wakes up to his own grandson shaking him awake. Life rolls on for a while, until one day he takes a walk through the village and ends up near that old training yard. It's been 37 years since anyone checked on it. His stomach drops, he runs as fast as an old man's legs will carry him, bursts through the broken gate, and finds the swordsman collapsed on the ground. Sword still locked in both hands, never let go, not even at the very end. And then, a blonde kid shoots upright in bed, drenched in sweat, heart pounding. That entire 15-year saga, it was a dream. Someone else's whole life lived in one night's sleep. We're now in Para territory, noble land, castles, the whole aristocratic package. Everyone's buzzing about 11-year-old Princess Kiliel, a prodigy magic user already crowned an enchantress. But one knight makes the mistake of saying the real famous Para kid is her older brother, Aaron, and the whole street goes dead silent. Because Aaron's got a nickname, the deadbeat noble, lost his mother young, shut down completely. Didn't do a single productive thing for 10 straight years, just slept his life away while the world moved on without him. And that's our dreamer. That's the kid who just woke up shaking from someone else's 15-year training montage. He can't sleep that night. His body's aching in ways that don't make sense, legs trembling like they actually lived through that grind, hands shaking like they've never held a sword before in his life, even though technically they haven't. Something's been planted in him that wasn't there yesterday. He stumbles to his servant in the dead of night and stammers out a request nobody in that household ever expected to hear. He wants to swing a sword. The next day, the training grounds are in chaos. Staff are pinching themselves. The deadbeat noble showing up to train is treated like a myth coming to life. His attendant tries to gently talk him down, offers to find him a proper teacher first, but Aaron's already grabbed a wooden sword off the rack. He swings it once, just once, and the attendant staggers back like he's witnessed something impossible. At first, some of the knights write it off, figure he got embarrassed by a rival lord's son recently, and this is just wounded pride playing itself out. But every swing costs him. His whole body screams, and when he finally collapses from exhaustion, he doesn't feel broken, he feels at peace, like something heavy is being released from him with every strike. This isn't just physical training, it's grief finding an outlet. He overtrains hard enough to collapse the very first week and keeps coming back anyway. Day 2, day 3, day 4. The knights had a betting pool going on how fast he'd quit. By day 4, they've all lost. That's when a mysterious wandering old knight shows up out of nowhere, asking to watch the training. At first he's unimpressed too, calls Aaron's form sloppy, chalks it up to a grudge-fueled tantrum, but then something changes his mind entirely. A literal griffin, one of Kiliel's magical constructs, comes screeching down out of the sky, and off it hops 11-year-old Kiliel herself, ready to drag her brother out of the yard. She's not there to cheer him on, she's there to stop him, convinced he's just going to hurt himself chasing something pointless. But that night she sneaks back into his room and leaves him an apology letter and a small gift, guilty over how hard she came down on him. It hits him harder than any training session could. For the first time in years, he walks downstairs and eats dinner with his family, actually engages, actually thanks them, actually tells them he loves them. That single dinner changes the tone of the entire household. The kid who slept for a decade is coming back to life. Meanwhile, back at the training yard, that mysterious old knight has been quietly watching for 10 straight days, and he's come to a conclusion nobody else has reached yet. Whatever's driving this boy isn't a phase. It's something closer to decades of hard-earned will, somehow compressed into a 15-year-old body. If the right teacher got hold of this kid, he thinks there's no telling how far he could go. The first assessment is a pure endurance run, and Somerville doesn't ease anyone into it. He just sprints off like a shot, leaving 400 trainees scrambling to keep pace. Within minutes, the field is a mess of wheezing bodies, strategic slackers hanging at the back to conserve energy, and at least one kid crawling face first through the dirt. That kid is Aaron. His legs give out completely at one point, body simply refusing another step, until a memory surfaces from nowhere. The image of that scarred, towering figure from his dream, sword planted in the earth, standing like exhaustion, was a concept that never applied to him. Something in that memory drags Aaron back onto his feet. He doesn't want to be the deadbeat anymore. He wants to be on that man's level. He pushes past his own limit, blood dripping down his face, legs barely functioning, and it's enough to genuinely surprise Somerville, who assumed he'd have quit within minutes. But the body has its limits regardless of willpower, and Aaron's stride finally collapses into a stagger before he goes down completely, unconscious before he even hits the ground. Somerville catches him mid-fall without breaking pace. Aaron wakes up in the infirmary under the care of Instructor Run Tarhul, a loud, self-satisfied recovery specialist who wastes no time reminding Aaron how lucky he is to have such a skilled healer. When the rankings come out the next morning, Aaron scans all the way down the list to find his name at rock bottom, dead last out of 400. He takes it with total calm, which throws Tarhul off more than tears would have. Classes officially begin, and Instructor Karaka lays out the daily schedule: training, meals, mental conditioning, before dropping the twist nobody saw coming. Weapon training is banned entirely for preliminary trainees. Aaron, who is mentally counting down the minutes until he could touch a blade again, is floored. Over the following months, the social dynamics of the preliminary batch start to solidify. Bart Lloyd, cocky and status-obsessed, treats the whole academy like a popularity contest he's destined to win, until Ilya Lindsay, the second genius of the Lindsay bloodline, walks into the gym and effortlessly hauls a barbell that makes the entire room go quiet. Bart's confidence quietly implodes on the spot. Then there's Judith, a commoner clawing her way up through pure relentless effort, openly disrespected by nobles who assume she doesn't belong, and matching every insult with a cutting comeback of her own. She and Aaron keep crossing paths without either of them fully processing it yet. The strangest moment of this stretch comes when Ilya, unprompted, walks up to Aaron mid-workout and asks for a private word, then, after an excruciating stretch of silence between them, just turns and walks away without explaining anything. The entire gym watches it happen and immediately spirals into gossip. Judith, who witnessed the whole thing from a distance, corners Aaron afterward for an aggressive, borderline interrogation-style demand to know exactly what's going on between them. He genuinely has no idea either. Months blur by, the training intensifies. Bart, still convinced Aaron only advanced through noble connections, becomes obsessed with proving he's the superior trainee, setting his sights on Judith as his next target to humiliate on the track. 10 days before the midterm test is announced, the reward on the table becomes clear. The top 5 trainees earn personal instruction from the swordmaster himself, the head of the entire academy. Everyone locks in. Judith trains herself past the point of health, coughing blood after her sets, refusing to slow down even as her body sends every warning sign it has. Aaron matches her intensity, running himself into total collapse day after day. When the school's aging but legendary headmaster, Master Ian, arrives to personally scout the new batch, he specifically singles out Judith's self-destructive training pace and Aaron's unnervingly disciplined mindset as the two things worth watching most closely. The test unfolds across 4 brutal stages: push-press, box jumps, a distance sprint, and a long-distance swim, each with a hard time cutoff. Stage 1, push-press. Bart is midway through his set, arms burning, eyes fixed on Ilya as she moves through her reps with terrifying, almost lazy efficiency, and then he clocks something that stops him cold. Someone beside him is matching his pace, rep for rep, a trainee he never once considered a threat. It's Aaron, bandaged, legs planted, grip bloodied against the bar, jaw locked, driving the weight overhead again and again with a raw, almost violent intensity that has nothing to do with technique and everything to do with refusal. He doesn't have form. He has willpower, and right now willpower is winning. Ilya finishes first as expected, but the second name called for a clean pass isn't Bart's, it's Aaron's. The entire yard goes silent in disbelief. Stage 2, box jumps. Aaron notices something strange building in his own body mid-rep, a heat, an explosiveness he's never felt before, like some hidden reserve just cracked open. It scares him for a second. He half expects it to be the prelude to a total burnout, but instead of backing off, he drives harder into it, faster with every jump, pushing until the instructor overseeing his lane is visibly stunned by what he's watching. Second stage, clean pass, bandages and all. Stage 3, the run. Ilya blows past him without so much as a glance, dust kicking up in her wake, and for a moment Aaron's just chasing a shadow he has no realistic chance of catching. Then his breathing shifts, something ignites behind his eyes. His legs find another gear entirely, closing the distance, not catching her. Nobody's catching Ilya today, but closing it enough that she actually looks back mid-stride, genuinely thrown that anyone's gained ground on her at all. Behind them both, Judith is tearing through her own lane on pure spite and stubbornness, screaming into the wind that she refuses to lose to anyone. Stage 4, the swim. This is where it nearly goes wrong. Judith dives in, still running on fumes from months of overtraining, and her leg locks into a full cramp mid-stroke. She keeps fighting anyway, clawing forward inch by inch, tears mixing into the lake water, right up until her body simply gives out and she starts to sink. That's when Aaron cuts through the water beside her, hauls her up mid-stroke, and powers them both toward shore, furious, exhausted, and dragging her full dead weight the entire way. The second they hit the bank, an instructor comes sprinting up the path. Without hesitating, Aaron turns straight back around and dives into the lake again to finish his own leg of the swim, leaving stunned onlookers screaming after him in disbelief that he's going back in at all. He finishes, dead last of the qualifiers, 34th out of 35 who passed, but he finishes, and the entire hall ends up talking about nothing else. Not everyone celebrates it. Bart, who ends up placing 5th by default once Judith's near-drowning throws off the standings, sneers at Aaron's decision to sacrifice a guaranteed reward for a rescue an instructor could technically have handled. Ilya feels the same way, and corners Aaron the next morning to say so directly, coldly laying out exactly what he gave up and exactly how little sympathy the rest of the academy will have for him going forward, reward or no reward. Aaron doesn't argue the logic, he just tells her the truth. He knows what it's like to be the one drowning, metaphorically, for years on end, waiting for someone to pull him out, and he wasn't about to watch it happen to someone else and do nothing. Ilya isn't fully convinced, warns him she won't step in to help him again, and walks off with tears in her eyes despite the cold tone, leaving Aaron more confused about her than before the conversation even started. At the formal awards assembly, the Swordmaster publicly praises Aaron's decision as an act worth more than any single evaluation result, and calls him up alongside the other top performers despite his low ranking. Bart, humbled, admits to the headmaster that he's been narrow-minded. Ilya, characteristically blunt, demands personal training as her reward and gets it, refusing to take no for an answer. And when it's finally Aaron's turn to name his own reward, he stuns the old master by asking not for sword technique, but for help understanding how to fix things with a friend he doesn't even fully understand yet. The Swordmaster, unexpectedly moved by the honesty, actually gives him relationship advice before circling back to the technical reward, which Aaron, overwhelmed by the offer, admits he doesn't even know how to make use of yet. They agree to save it for later. As Aaron walks off, the old master is left staring after him, unsettled by a feeling he can't quite name, like there's something or someone guiding this boy from somewhere just out of sight. Sword classes finally begin, and the trainees are sorted based on their raw form and demonstrated skill. Right as the class lists are being finalized, Bart makes a scene in front of the entire hallway and publicly challenges Aaron to a duel before either of them has even set foot in a real classroom. The duel. The Swordmaster himself agrees to referee, setting only one condition: anyone who feels genuinely endangered has to call it before it goes too far. Then the fight begins, and Bart doesn't waste a second of it. He closes the distance almost before the signal finishes, blade slicing in low and fast. Aaron barely gets his sword up in time, catching the strike dead on, the impact rattling straight through his bones and skidding his feet across the tile. Bart doesn't let up. He flows straight into a real technique, clean footwork, textbook arcs, proving in seconds that this isn't just a spoiled noble flexing his family name. He's actually trained, and trained well. Aaron has no technique to answer with. What he has is refusal. Every strike that lands, he eats it, resets his stance, and comes back swinging anyway. No clean form, no polish, just an unwillingness to go down that starts to unsettle the crowd watching from the sidelines, several of whom expected this to be over in seconds. Bart steps back and shifts gears, testing rather than finishing, probing Aaron's reactions, his balance, his instincts. The read that comes back from onlookers is mixed. His reflexes are sharp, sharper than they have any right to be for someone who's held a sword for barely a month, but his balance collapses every time he commits fully to a swing. Raw instinct with zero foundation underneath it. That's when Bart stops holding back entirely. He drops low, coiling his stance, crimson-tinted energy wrapping visibly around his blade as he commits to a full-power strike. Aaron sees it coming and barely gets his sword up in time, the clash sending a visible shockwave rippling through the air between them, both arms screaming from the force of absorbing it. Bart comes back again immediately, another full commitment strike, and the two blades lock dead center, sparks scattering, neither fighter giving an inch, both of them staring straight through each other over the crossed steel. Aaron shifts his weight at the last possible second, catches the opening, and knocks Bart's sword clean out of his grip, sending it spinning and ringing across the tile. But Bart recovers instantly, snatches a dagger and lunges straight back in before Aaron can capitalize, and in the scramble that follows, Aaron's own sword goes flying too, clattering to the floor in the opposite direction. Both of them end up standing there, weaponless, chests heaving, staring each other down with nothing left to swing. The swordmaster calls it, neither landed a finishing blow. On points on composure, and on the fact that he drew first blood in the exchange, the win goes to Bart, but nobody in that hallway walks away thinking Aaron lost anything that mattered. Classes get sorted immediately after. Top 10 trainees Ilya, Bart, Judith among them land in Class A, the most brutal track in the academy. Aaron, despite the duel, despite the evaluation rescue, despite everything, gets called last of all and placed dead bottom, Class F. He freezes when he hears it. After everything, it still isn't enough to escape the label. But this story doesn't end on that gut punch. Aaron's temporary instructor, Rune Tarhul, the same smug recovery specialist from before, pulls him aside privately with a brutal, backhanded proposition: 1 week to master the fundamentals of real swordwork. Pass the test at the end of it and he jumps straight to Class C, no questions asked. Fail, and he stays exactly where the academy just placed him. Aaron doesn't hesitate for a second. He commits fully, and what follows is a week that changes everything Tarhul thought he understood about this kid. Day 1 is raw, wasted strength, and sloppy form. By day 3, the fundamentals start clicking into place. By day 5, Tarhul, a man who clearly doesn't hand out compliments easily, is standing there in total silence, visibly reassessing every assumption he walked in with, quietly admitting to himself that he wasn't even this sharp at Aaron's age. Judith pulls extra sessions with him in the evenings, half threatening to kick him if his stance looks sloppy, and by the final day, Aaron's reading her test strikes clean, no hesitation, no fumbling. The kid the entire academy wrote off as a lost cause less than a year ago walks into his placement test fully armed, fully focused, and walks out with a new class assignment. Class C 1 week, one impossible bet. The deadbeat noble just flipped the entire academy's expectations upside down, and something tells me this is only the beginning of where this story's actually headed. That's where we're leaving it for today, bro. If you want the next part covering Class C and whatever's coming for Aaron next, smash that subscribe button and I'll see you in the next one.